glitch that we had. We're sorry, and then we're going to be delving back into the topics right away. Like I was saying earlier, we have four speakers that are going to be doing justice to the theme for the years on for this year on the different topics. First, we have myself that is currently doing this opening session, and later in the evening by 4 o'clock, we are going to be having Ms. Olayinka Shaulu, who will be doing justice to the topic of the day as well. And tomorrow is going to be a very big day, and thank God it's going to be a Saturday. So we are inviting you to be a part of that session as we're going to be having Mr. Lasisi Oladoyin from the Ministry of Environment, Lagos State. He's actually the directorate for the from the Directorate of Ministry of Environment, Lagos State. That is going to be by 10 o'clock in the morning. And later in the afternoon, by 4 p.m., we are going to be having Mr. Daria Kogun from Sobi FM, Ilorin, Kwara State. And these people are specialists in the space that are going to be doing justice to the issue of plastic pollution in our Nigeria, in our country, and in our local communities. So I want you to rest back and enjoy the session, and also comment, share, and invite others to be part of the session. So what are we doing today? Today I will be giving us some snippet into policies and practices that are governing solid waste management in Nigeria. Especially, we're talking about plastic pollution, as a matter of fact. I want to basically say that there has been a series of policies in place year in, year out, and it has been said that Nigeria is great with policies, but we are low in implementation, evaluation, and monitoring. All right, but we are changing the narrative by raising this kind of advocacy, policy advocacy, and awareness. All right, so basically, um, talking about the awareness as far as the people is concerned, advocacy, I want to say that majority of people do not know how dangerous and severe the issue of plastic pollution is. And when we say plastic pollution, oftentimes we feel um, it is often after production. We often feel it is after the consumers, the users are done using it. But I want to say that it is multifaceted. The first thing is that plastic production, from the point of uh, securing resources for plastic production, pollution has begun. I hope we know that plastic is produced from petrochemical material. Yes, from crude oil. The extraction of all of these things actually creates a immense pollution in the environmental space. And this is why you will see big countries, especially oil producing countries, that are piping really low on eradicating single use plastics. And also, I want to say that plastic is a big business. Let me draw a perspective into that. Basically, about 2 decades ago, or should I say 1.5 decades, we have our all these local drinks, Fanta, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and some other products. They are all produced and distributed in glass bottles. We can see their trucks moving glass bottles and drinks from location to location. And I can say that even as at that time, these companies are making enough profits. But the moment plastic come into the picture, the whole thing change. Can you just imagine the exponential growth? In fact, a big shift in their profit simply because of plastic. And the danger of plastic is that it takes very short period of time to produce. and it remain almost forever. It is non-biodegradable. It cannot decompose. In fact, for it to decompose, it means that it must meet certain condition. All right. And majority of time, when we say that there is plastic in the air, there is plastic in the food we eat, there is plastic in the water we drink, we do not understand. We do not understand. Oftentimes, we feel if research has said plastic is non biodegradable, if it takes hundreds of years for it to degrade, how then do we find it in our food? How do we find it in the water we drink and in the air that we breathe? And I will quickly explain that. Number one, types of plastics. Plastic with different chemical composition. And I can say that by design also, there are different types of plastic. And we are going to be speaking briefly about this and also integrating it with our policy, the existing policy, and also policy recommendation. Flipping the theme from beating plastic pollution globally, all right, to flipping plastic pollution. So we're going to be recommending policy to the multinational, I mean, to the government at the national level, the level that can be integrated into the system that multinationals and all these producers can actually adopt. Now, when we say in the air, in the food we eat, and all of that, number one, I want you to understand that during the dry season, as far as Nigeria is concerned, that is when foods are consumed the most. Drinks, soda, pet bottles. And that is when ceremonial activity as well, because of people do not want to come when it is raining. Many people feel, okay, the money that we'll be using for an hotel, let's use a garden. So they will strategically schedule their event for during the dry season. So, and that is typically part of why there is increase in consumption of others by that time. Similarly, during dry season, there is high evapotranspiration, there is high level of temperature as far as the sun is concerned. So people tend to sweat and need to hydrate. And people are always on the go. So the drink that they can easily get on the go, since they cannot move about with their bottles, are these pet drinks and food packaged in plastics, and thereby discarding it indiscriminately. And I want to really say that majority of time we do not know that the flood incidences that do occur during rainy season have been right from the dry season, simply because of they trash them and breeze blow them straight into drainages. And we equally have some communities and persons that have the culture of dumping their waste inside waterways, especially when it's about to rain or raining. So all of these things clog the waterways and result into flood. I believe that our other speakers are going to be speaking on the economic implications of flood. As we can see in Niger State in few days ago, we can see there is infrastructural damage, including children of under 10 that went with the flood incident. And only God knows, if care is not taken, the disease that can erupt from such an incident. So basically, I believe that our other speakers were going to be touching on that, but I will be talking about the way plastic gets into our food, our air, and our water. And as well, we'll be talking about some policies that are in place, and we are equally going to be recommending policies. First, I have talked about the uh, the this plastic get into waterways, and then this erosion sweep them, erode them into the ocean, where we have our seafoods. And the moment these animals ingest them, some of them, when it's broke down because of the chemical composition in their internal organs, they get into their systems, and these are what is being shipped for us and we take as frozen foods. That aside, when we use plates in the home and cups that are made up of HDPE, especially, that is high density polyethylene. In fact, we equally use low density polyethylene, the likes of takeaway plates that we use in events and restaurants. We put very hot food inside of them. And do not forget that this material are made of petrochemicals. So when there is a level of um, temperature in it, it tends to release some juice. Let me use that word. Some part of the chemical into the food. Basically, it's wear into the food, and we consume this food. We may say that is insignificant, but when we eat this over time, we consume this over time, be it in our tea or our hot meals, we discover that it accumulates into our system. And remember, it is non-biodegradable, meaning that our system can only ingest it, it cannot digest it. And when these have a place in our body system, we discover that it becomes a major health challenge. And also, we understand that many decades ago, every home have a water pot. Every home have a water pot, but today we all deal with bottled water and sachet water. And if you see the production phases and distribution phases of all of this, we can see that majority of them are not properly produced or transported to locations where they have been finally used. Excessive exposure to ultraviolet ray also releases some toxic chemicals in this material into the content, be it food or water. And the community tends to ingest these things into their system. So the solution to this is for people to switch from plastic plates in homes. You know, we are talking about localizing the solution now. Is from people to switch from plastic plates in homes to stainless steel and ceramics. Switching from plastic to stainless steel and ceramics, meaning that we can from our own front beat plastic, basically because of our health. And when we are choosing these water bottles for our kids to take to school, we should not begin to impair the health of these toddlers and children from that age. We should choose the right material, such as stainless steel and ceramic for their food. That is for the plates we use domestically in the house. And then let us move to other things, other ways that we have plastic in our air, we have plastic in our food, we have plastic in our water. Plastic, when broken down, can be disintegrated into three forms. One, microplastic, which is visible to the eye. It's just like you take plastic and you blend it inside a blender, and the powder that you see, all the smaller particles, those are microplastic. Or in some cases, when we come across plastics that are expired, we see that they tend to crack and break. All right, what you see is microplastic. And where do you think all of this goes? They go into our soil. And remember, they become a plastering layer in the soil, and thereby stopping the likes of grass and plants to thrive. Secondly, We can equally see plastic in meso. We have mesoplastic. We have microplastic and we have mesoplastic. Mesoplastic is invisible to the physical eye. The same thing with nanoplastic. We have mesoplastic and nanoplastic. These two cannot be seen with your physical eye except it is observed under a microscope. How do we actually now say if it takes a plastic, let us take a PET bottle, for instance, if it takes it hundreds of years to degrade, to decompose, how then do we arrive to microplastic, mesoplastic, and nanoplastic? I will quickly take us on this short journey on the model of production, the model and purpose of production. One, we all see a trend in improvised, or should I say, synthetic grass that is made today. We can see people use it in their homes, in their residence, and we equally see government infrastructures also incorporating synthetic grass into their projects. What this does is that from design, these grasses, these products are designed in a very tiny and slimy dimension, such that when they are exposed to the atmospheric oxygen and sunlight for a certain period of time, it does not take so long before they disintegrate. Remember, they are not natural grass. Before they disintegrate. By the time they disintegrate, remember that they are in the open and public space already. So when there is breeze, the breeze lifts this, and since there is no sieving and purification measures for our air, the air we breathe, we take this into our brain and it goes straight into our system. So another way is that when there is erosion washes this nano and mesoplastic into water bodies, into our wells, in fact, into our boreholes. And thereby, it goes straight into our individual homes, it goes into our water bodies, and of course, the marine habitat equally tends to have a good, let me say, a large share of this. So these are forms by which air and food and water have been contaminated and polluted by these toxins. Remember that these material are petrochemicals. They are made up of different types of chemicals. So it basically means that we are ingesting toxins into our system the moment that this is present in our food, in the air we breathe, and of course, in the water we drink. Then what is the solution? The solution is one, for the government to prioritize natural provisions over synthetic and artificial material. I can tell that we have some projects all over the country where synthetic rug and synthetic grass is used. Some people also, some private firms also, when they are trying to create a greenery or a kind of a garden or a resort center, they make use of synthetic grass without knowing that, of course, they will still use it, have to change it after some time. So what happened to them? They have weared off. They have been degraded. And where did they all go? In our soil, in our water, in our air, and of course in our food. They move just the way dust move about. And this is the reason why we need to take this advocacy to the government, that from production, everything does not necessarily have to be business. Everything does not necessarily have to be business. And secondly, we as the persons in our individual projects also, we should prioritize the use of natural plants, natural grass in our communities. And also, we should also have water filter. Unfortunately, we cannot have air filter, at least that we breathe in, but we should have water filter. With water filter, we can get rid of some of the meso and nanoplastic that has escaped into the water. And I want to proceed to the policies that are in place, because that is very, very important. Before we now go to our policy recommendation, remember that the cap of this session is policies and practice. All right, we have one of the policies that we have been talking about here as the life cycle, such as Manufacturers Associations of Nigeria. We discovered that there is no life cycle analysis of the plastic that are being used for packaging of all of these products. Tell me that product that is void of plastic in this time. There is hardly none. There is hardly none. So this plastic, I was challenging some people earlier, and I think we need to take this advocacy message also to, apart from the government that is the most in putting, we need to take this advocacy message to manufacturers of plastic bags. It has been discovered that they deliberately produce substandard such that when you exhaust it in very fast succession, you can come back and buy. And if you are going to be buying those that are of higher quality, you tend to pay more. And what suffers is not just our environment, it's not just the landfill. We have just explained the concept of nanoplastic and microplastic. The likes of plastic bags tends to degrade faster because they are of lighter weight. And when there is heavy sunlight on them, they begin to degrade. And then the breeze tends to carry them. We breathe them in. They get to our food, they get to our water. And that leads to a serious community and public health issue. But when there is a policy in place that any product that is below certain threshold is going to, or the license is going to be withdrawn from such a producer, then they will sit up to produce what is of quality. And we can equally see that when we go to market and we get these bags, these plastic bags, some of them get to, on spot, destroy, and you tend to ask for another one. The moment that destroys, you drop it right on the ground, right? This is why we have our landfill and, physical environment messed up with plastic, with nylons all over the place. The same thing goes to our business moguls, especially talking about electronics and mobile gadgets. I think Nigeria government need to come up with a very strong policy and a very strong penalty for non-compliance when it comes to product life cycle, product shelf life, and quality. I actually traveled to, about 3 weeks ago, I traveled to my mom, and I could see in her house some of the items that she purchased, she's been using before I was given birth to. And they are still very strong and durable. Very, very, we are talking about, I'm talking about before the firstborn of this woman was given birth to. I'm talking about over 50 years now. I'm talking about over 50 years now. They are still very, very intact. But that is no more. If you check the influx of products in Nigeria, you discover that if iPhone 10 come out today, in the next 6 months, iPhone 11 is coming. In the next 6 months, iPhone 12 is coming. In the next 6 months, iPhone X is coming. And that is how it is across all the products that we use, even our gadget. And where does all these things goes to? They come back to our landfills. And when they degrade, they impair the public health. The same thing goes to the likes of our printer. Sometimes ago, I was in one of these clinic for gadgets in town. And a man was lamenting that he bought a certain printer not long ago. And now that printer is near irrelevant because new version is out. The cord cannot work for new version. Everything is just messed up. And this is as a result of our people going to China and some other countries, telling them, this is what I want you to produce. This is the lifespan I want you to attach to it. And since I am the only one, monopolistic market, I'm the only one supplying or producing these certain goods, they will always come back to me. And then they keep making profits at the expense of our health and ecological balance. So I think the government need a stricter policy on this, and it's not just politics by the papers. It needs to be translated to practice, to a culture. And this will go a long way in rescuing our ecosystem and local community from plastic pollution. And to our women and ladies out there, I want to say that the use of wigs as over the natural air that we are endowed naturally is actually increasing the rate of plastic waste in the society, and it's exacerbating the incidence of climate crisis and, of course, the health challenges that we all have around. All right, we understand that there are some of these materials that are inevitable, but if there are natural options, it is important that we switch to all of these things. Even there are some ongoing researches that has claimed that use of these wigs and all these synthetic materials are hazardous to the brain and largely to the health of the users, of the consumers. So is it not a clarion call to us now to begin to shift back to nature? Shifting back to nature. And part of the policy that is in place is deposit. I think that, okay, is this system of people harvesting plastic from the community? People harvesting plastic from the community for an incentive. It is presently a system. We call it a DSR, that is deposit return scheme. Deposit return scheme is a system in which there is a plastic bank and people tend to pack waste from the environment to go get some stipends, in exchange of that, you will see long vehicles conveying waste plastic, compressed plastic in tons. And this is an economy itself. He used. All right. All right, you're welcome back. So they're equally used for. All right. Sorry for network glitch. We are coming to a close of the session now. So that is known as the EPR. EPR is basically extended producer's responsibility. This is a system that allow or enforces producers to support environmental sustainability in one way or the other. But largely, I can say that producer's responsibility has not been well maximized. In fact, ecosystem, and I will explain briefly, which is serving as a policy recommendation or amendment for the government. Basically, we discovered that majority of producers are not carrying out CSR, which is corporate social responsibilities, while some are actually having that, enshrined into their programs. They have budgets, a budgetary. But for those that are not having at all, we really want the government to ensure that they are not only focusing on tax, they should equally focus on ensuring that they adopt the CSR and it is well integrated into the intended producer's responsibility scheme. And also for those that are actually carrying out this EPR, it has been discovered that there is a lot of issues that need to be addressed. Remember, we are combating plastic pollution in the country. And then we discover, if you look at your community, you find different companies that you have never come by physically, but their product is there. All right, from spaghetti sachet to different pet bottles from various companies. But what we find out is that their their CSR is not actually compact with environmental sustainability. It does not take care of the communities that are being polluted and affected. What you will see majority of them support in most cases is BB Niger, where they feel they are going to gain more visibility. All right. Another thing that majority of them do, for those that even try, are those that want to support environmental campaigns, all right, or cleanup programs. And it is a win-win case anyway. It's a win-win case in which people get to clean the environment and is a source of uh, portfolio upgrade and marketing for the companies, because the branded materials for the project is going to carry their emblems and logos, and that is a significant way of advertising and registering their brands across board. But I want to say that oftentimes when organizations and movements that are protecting the environment right for support seek support from polluters, from these producers, they often refer you to the headquarters somewhere in Lagos. And the question is it the headquarters in Lagos that is polluting our local community here in Adamawa, or our local community here in Niger State, or our local community here in Kwara State? I think what we are advocating for the government now is for these producers to decentralize their CSR programs, as they are embracing the EPR, the extended producer's responsibility, integrating it into their CSR. They should decentralize it such that for every community, from that the waste generated are, is affecting them. And programs that can be run in such locations are numerous. Part of it is empowering local recycling plants. In fact, aggregation and bottles and waste can also be supported, providing them with the likes of waste collectors, vehicles, and some other materials that are needed. It is going to go a long way, but majority of the time is either it is BB Niger supporting BB Niger, or some sponsorship programs, or the all right, the beneficiary are often the children of the well-to-do people, while the local communities, the indigent, are still suffering. Just take, for instance, the incident of the flood in Niger State. How many of the rich people are actually affected, looking at it critically? But the local people who are underrepresented, they are the one being affected. So we need a policy, upgrade and implementation. All right, it has to be operationalized, that companies need to embrace EPR and integrate it into their CSR. In case they're non-existing, they need to activate it, and then largely they need to decentralize their CSR, such that every location, every local government where their product sells, of course, they have the marketers, and they have uh, um, data analysts in their companies that tells the extent to which their product goes and where it sells the most. I think based on the data that they have generated through their data analysis sections, they can equally tell where they want to zone their CSR per month, per quarter, or per year, since this is already factored into their budget. So I feel this will go a long way. So my last statement was, if you make profit from the environment, you should be able to support sustainability on the environment as well. So finally, as I go, or as I close up the session, many people say, how do we get plastic into our body? Yes, everybody uses a toothbrush. Everybody used a toothbrush, and as you use it one way or the other, it wears off and gets into your system. All right, everybody use every woman use a wig or a comb or something. One way or the other, it disintegrates. And of course, I have cited the example of the synthetic grass among several other channels where plastic gets into our food. I can say largely, even the food we eat, that one is common because we eat every day. We eat every day. And that is one of the significant ways that plastic gets into our food. So I want to say that please join us on this series. By afternoon, we are going to be uploading a video for our second speaker, while the remaining two sessions are live, just like this. And it is going to be very, very fantastic. And they're going to be bringing more insight into the solutions that we need to embrace locally to beat plastic pollution. And I want to announce, so this side event is going to be like, is majorly an angle contextualizing the solutions of beating plastic pollution. This time we're going to be looking away from the government, the producers, that is the companies. We are going to be looking at what solution can we foster to ensure that we sustainably beat plastic pollution. So I say thank you. We are open to your questions. Please use the chat box, the comment section, and you can equally reach out to us in person. Any form of inquiry you want to make, including collaborations, we are open to this because we are on the fight against plastic pollution in our local community. Once again, my name is Akintola Akinyemi from GGI. Have a blessed day, and Baraka the Sala. Thank you.